sageless comps as they go, but for the most part, on split, you really don't want to be doing that. And so far, it's a relatively slow start. Team's taking it really careful because when you're playing with split mid, you really need to give it a lot of space and a lot of respect.
We'll finally see some action kicking off here as the first kill will finally come through. That was Asuna there playing the Rays. No surprise there. Rob Wiz on the Jet moving back over towards this A site where they're going to make contact with Gangsta, who is locking down the ramp. There's the Molly coming in as well. Foe going to drop down the Brim Kohler on the site. So it will be a quick retake. You can see that brand new knife already equipped here by multiple players. Heavily investing in that new skin set. Can't blame them. It is quite beautiful. You've got the Cypher now working in through the screens. The man with the cam, ironic to be coming through this section with a little bit of extra display. Thief trying to work in. Nice shot on the Payan, but there's Rob Wiz waiting around the corner. The Classic, though, going for a reload. Sumhill still hits the shot onto Asuna, and it's going to be down to one. It's Bjor, the Sage, trying to retake on the site. The spike ticking lower and lower. There's two right around the corner, but just going to run low. The lone defender in Gangsta.
The longer they take, the more that we're starting to see Asuna rotate around. He's already on the heaven high ground on A. Gangsta's going to run into multiple people, but the spray down with the Stinger is good from Payan. This is slowed right down. You can see that Immortals are better prepared for this. The dash isn't good, though, as Rob Wiz is just going to, again, push on ahead. They're clearing the site. There's still more people on Immortals to deal with, but Thief snuck in.
Yeah, unfortunately, nothing going to be stolen by Thief this time around, despite the sneak in. I was told by Foe ahead of time that there could be some aggressive Stinger play. Expect to see it. And he said, you'll probably make fun of the cheese, but it works out well for us. And there was a great example.
It's forced to back away completely to the point that he's going to the A site. It is leaving mid rather open, but it's the B site that's looking to be hit. Thief is going to hold it down as much as possible. His aggressive dashes in from Rob Wiz are actually working super well with the Stinger. And it seems that a plant spike is going to go in eventually, but Jolu getting double means that he's delaying it even more. And they seem to be a bit trapped on the low ground of B.
Yeah, I mean, you knew coming into this that this was going to be difficult, but you would have hoped for at least a little bit more success. They do have a Phantom and a Stinger equipped in the 2-on-4. The Ray is going to send out what they've got. The Bomb Buddy is present as well, so we'll send out that Boom Bot. Heading towards the backside of site. Good damage coming out. Foe has to go to the sidearm. It's not enough. The fact that they do find 3 kills, though, on the round is actually huge because you're almost expecting to lose that round coming into it. You know you've only got SMGs. You know they're going to be upgrading with rifles. So impacting the econ in the long run is really...
with Stingers, but now as we start to get out of the early game, stuff is gradually going to change with a lot of pressure on mid from the attackers of CODE7. Again, Rob Wiz starting off with the pick onto Piolu.
That wonderful Jet ult as the knives come out. They go for the swing, and they do pick off one, but in response, we've got Foe stuck in the corner. Excuse me, it was actually the ult getting popped by the Phoenix, so no kill coming in. They run it back, obviously keeping him alive still. Cypher, again, getting aggressive currently in B main. Rob Wiz has the knives back out again, looking to do some extra damage on the round. It is at a 4-on-4, and they also have the Showstopper, the Raze ult, the Rocket could open things up, and it looks like the team is going to be grouping up back towards the A site, where there's still 2 players in the same position. You've got Phoenix and Brim, both on ramp, both there, ready for the trade, should it be necessary.
Seems that this is going to be the site that's hit. The Omen really needs to set it up as much as possible with some strong smokes, but the Phoenix's position here is really nice on this defense. It's going to catch them out completely. I wonder if he's actually going to even need to flash it, but he gets one and actually gets the ult in Rob Wiz, stringing together more, and Gangsta.
Yeah, ended up selling it. So for a second we saw it come out. There's the peak, though. Rob Wiz with the blind shot. Actually, it was almost the collateral. The Brim's down on 1 HP, has to run back to spawn to get the heal, which means the site is completely lost, and it is CODE7's to control.
You can see the CODE7 are well aware of this. They're going to push on ahead. It even forces out the Resurrect to bring back the Phoenix. Foe is a nice spot here as he knows that there's going to be multiple there. Even dedicates a showstopper, but catches nobody. There were so many targets there that he could have got a connection with if he was just a bit more patient. But what it is doing is it's delaying time. He's just keeping an eye on his angle, tries to get a collateral with those shots too, but Joe is going to take that out easily as soon as putting pressure towards screens, and enough that he's actually able to get the frag on, and there's only 2 people left on this attack.
Yeah, the Jet unfortunately having to keep their head on a swivel. Rob Wiz lost his teammate, so it pretty much all fell apart from there. Needed to see a little bit more from Foe there playing the Raze. Kind of an interesting pick in my mind.
Hit too hard or too fast considering the guns that they have. So it's maybe catching people out on the rotation. And the Resurrect dedicated early to bring back Rob Wiz means that these attackers are very much going for this. It's a big ult dedication for a round where they don't have a lot of guns.
Asuna currently trying to lock down Heaven. Nice paranoia coming out from Omen. That pushes him back far. Not only that, that gifts Rob Wiz, the operator. Kohler's trying to hold it down. And there's the jump peek from Rob Wiz, feeling oh so confident. What is this?
Just dunked him.
Just going for it. Rob Wiz will get taken down as Thief is still on the site, and he's trying to steal the round away from CODE7 as they had that site control. Great flash coming out as well from the Phoenix, who peeks out wide, and it's down to a one-on-one. The run it back, though, was popped, and there's only 12 seconds left. We need to see a dedicated plant here from Torque, and that's exactly what's going to happen. So now it comes down to this. Gangsta versus Torque in the one-on-one, operator in the hands of the Sage.
He doesn't have a flash, so he's stuck around this corner, just has to dry peek it, but Torque is just backing off. It's smart play. Surely there would have been some rifles there to pick up just to make this a bit easier, but Gangster only has the Blaze, so could maybe conceal it, try and cover it across CT, but he's not quite sure where it is, so this is a lot of time being wasted just from the Sage being backed off a little bit. There it is, there's the Blaze, just to sort of blank it off a little bit, and Torque's vision isn't good. Might need to wallbang it, and just gets the shot in. Thrifty from CODE7. This Stinger meta that they're setting up.
And that's what they've been doing with that Stinger in the hands of Rob Wiz when necessary. And in that instance, Rob Wiz gets to upgrade to an up, gets super aggressive. The round almost falls apart, though, because of Thief's individual hero play on the B site, but they were able to bring it back around in the 1v1 due to strong positioning coming in from the Sage. There's a hot hands coming down from Gangsta to try and delay the push over on A, but it's not going to stop them at all as they continue to push forwards. We've got Bjor in mid, who's sitting in vents right now, and the wall has been dropped. Here we go, the first peek. Rob Wiz just too quick with the operator.
It was a nice peek. It was a nice try, I suppose, for the position of being on top of the box, but it's not good enough. Again, Gangsta on this site is doing quite a lot of work. Dedicates the orbital strike at the defense. It doesn't quite catch anything. Nicholas has even made it onto the high ground where the majority of this defensive Immortals is. Meanwhile, Rob Wiz is still doing Rob Wiz things, so he's having a grand old time clearing up towards CT. And gradually, Immortals are starting to dip when it comes to their numbers. A lot of pressure coming in from behind the site now as Collar's going to be leading the line with Bjor. And this is going to be tricky for the defenders to try and retake this. Nicholas' position is good, but Cole's headshot even better.
Rob misses that shot and now is in a dangerous position. Goes for the knives. Actually ends up converting on one before falling. Foe. Oh, I love the play. But the smoke just doesn't last long enough. Tries to sneak into it, and literally as he gets there, smoke disappears. So it will be a round, but it's a hard-fought round coming in for Immortals. And again, the money is going to be a problem in the long term. As we can see...
Kind of on the back foot here, and CODE7 are throwing a lot of interesting plays at them. And it's super fascinating to see how they deal with it. In some cases, really well. In some others, not so much.
I love this. Pan and Foe have actually made it past ramp using that cyber cage. They're going to be sneaking into spawn. They've got this position held down. You can see they think that maybe they could be here, but by not pushing, they keep this defensive side of Immortals guessing, wondering if they've actually moved into this position or not. What they're waiting for is for the rest of the team to start working their way back towards A. So you can see Rob Wiz, the Jet, already getting towards ramp. You've got two more coming through from spawn, and now they're going to start looking on the backside, but if they didn't wait long enough, unfortunately the play falls apart. Gangsta was too woke, too aware, and now it's up to the remaining three.
Fortunately, Kohler can't replicate the rest of this defense, really. Rob Wiz is starting to push it aggressively. Gangster only able to do so much. No more flashes yet again, so might just have to dry peek this if careful. The plant is going to come in as we see the neural theft used to give up their positioning. And this is great for Immortals because everybody's on site. There's not a lot of space to work with, and that's why Rob Wiz is trying to get away from the site as much as possible to try and catch out their positioning. They won't have any idea that he's moved this quickly.
I love that move from Asuna, using that to get into the backside of elbow. It didn't necessarily work for the Rays, but obviously there was a quick trade coming out due to that low magazine.
Showstopper from Foe from distance. Enough to clear this up, and Immortals are kind of scattered if you look at the minimap.
Yeah, this is a little awkward right now for the attacking side. Everyone currently grouped up on ramp. They do have a 2-player advantage, and there is the res available as well. It's in play here for CODE7, so this could be a big round. Bior starting to back off, starting to wonder if they're still here. Patience is a virtue, the name of the game currently. As they go for the recommit after initially pausing on the play, you still got to deal with Gangsta in sight, who's right around the corner playing this Phoenix, and he's been lights out thus far. First shot, though, not where it needs to be, so no kill coming out early there for the Phoenix, and the round falls apart. It's all up to Thief, and at this point, Thief is probably looking for an exit to try and escape and save that gun. So there it is. You see the op pickup there by Thief, and he'll be running away. It's a 4th round coming in here for CODE7, and again, the money is not stellar right now for the side of Immortals. So you can even see him going back and picking up his tripwires. Obviously, he wants to save as much cash as possible, but that's the reason we're in this save scenario to begin with.
He's on a budget. You can't really blame him. I really like the positioning from Gangster, what he's been doing on the Phoenix, just that really aggressive off angle. Didn't quite work as well on the defense just then because positioning and movement was kind of awkward for him to get the spray transfer there, and he went into a 1 versus 2. But it's just all of these sort of movements, I suppose, that Immortals are trying to have to pull out. Like, there's some pretty 5-head plays coming out, it feels like. But CODE7 is just making it super...
Do lose it. Then they're even in a worse position, because they're staring at 5-5 with a guaranteed save to follow this. I mean, you're pretty much surrendering the lead if you lose this round.
It's the fact that they're pushing A so aggressively. It opens up quite nicely, but Cole is trying to bring up the aggressive orbital strike. It does get through. He dies for the process, but unfortunately, everybody's moved on past that. It's just now going to be Thief on this defense to try and fight up against the 3 surviving members of CODE7. And I was going to be kind of critical of the fact that they just seem to be running A. They're not doing any splits, not trying to bait towards B like they did very early on in the game. But, I mean, you can't really knock it, Bot, because they're playing this way with how much we've seen A being executed on rather aggressively. But now it's all exposed. As soon as going to poke around his corner and see absolutely diddly squat, but B is going to be hit. It's only going to be Bjord that's even nearby to hear it, but here's the smoke, and he's going to turn, and this is going to be a deep rotation. I think CODE7 are now aware just how empty the site is, so the plant is going to go in. Let's see how much space they can take. If they could get towards CT around the back of this site, or even just sort of put a few more people into B main like they are doing currently, they're anchoring themselves really nicely for this retake, and it's going to be an absolute pain in the backside for Immortals to clear everybody out in a 5v5. There are a few ultimates available, but Rob Wiz is just going to stay with the operator, try and get a shot in, but the flash is going to scare him away a little.
Oh, that Molly is also a bit of a problem. So they've gotten down into hell, and they've actually managed to pick one off. You've still got Torque sitting on default. The shotgun doesn't even get a chance to fire. There's Gangsta with the Frenzy, a heal coming out onto the Omen. It's all up to Gangsta as the Phoenix. The fact
just that 1 round, but when we get into the playoffs and stuff, that's when we're going to see the new mode for sort of stoppage time, overtime moment, because Rob Wiz is actually going to push in now, gets a lot of damage done, and even the showstopper's dedicated, catches absolutely nothing. That must be like the 3rd one that we've seen from Foe that gets diddly squat.
There's the neural theft coming out. That showstopper can be so difficult because it's so easy to read and so easy to escape. Camera's down, that gives away the position of the Cypher. That means the Molly's going to be right on the money. Doesn't matter. Payne wide swings, catches Kohler off guard. Here's the other showstopper coming out. This time it's successful. Res coming through as well, but it's a bait res. 7 rounds for CODE7. Pan goes for the peak, spots him. There's the one-way. We've seen that one-way before, but the flames go down, and he dies almost instantly, evaporating inside the hot hands. Torque at least able to punish with the trade onto the Phoenix that sent his comrade to the sidelines, but the site's been lost. There's still plenty of utility here. As you can see, the Brim calling in the smokes. The wall starting to break. Foe actually taking significant damage. They're going to require a heal from Torque, but the retake is underway.
Set up quite nicely, the majority of the defense coming from Heaven, but look at his flank from Rob Wiz that might catch off people. Nobody's guarding that spot, and Torque is able to get some damage in. Can only do so much, gets traded, and the position for Cole is good. Rob Wiz is making his way around, has a head start over a lot of people. We will see them a bit later on.
I like this aggressive playing. The nade actually doing really heavy damage to his teammate as Rob Wiz dashed right into it. Rob Wiz in spawn. Here's his teammate fall in the sewers. Here's those footsteps in the water splashing around. Rob's still in spawn, and they know it. So you see Asuna currently watching for the push to come through. Rob, though, is just going to hold. Now the spike's been planted. We should see a peek in a moment. and we'll likely see his demise as well. Again, it's just Rob Wiz versus Gangsta, one-on-one. He's cloned himself.
I would love a 1v1 mode in this game, like the Counter-Strike workshop modes you can get. I really like those. I'm not very good at them, but I enjoy the idea of them. But it is a bit of a stalemate here. The spike has been planted, and the defenders can only do so much. But look at the space that Immortals have taken up. Rob Wiz again going for this mad flank, but it's a bit too little too late. Going for exit frags more than anything is likely to catch off Asuna, who spots the sound of multiple people. But can he deal with this 2-3-1 peak as it's spread out? He can, but the rest of the team is going to avenge him.
Well, that flash could have caught towards A. Rob's going to call it out. If Rob goes for a peek here, it could be quite problematic. I like this play currently, though, from Gangsta. He's going to lurk this one out big time. So there's the Omen going up the ropes, trying to come through with the support. Rob Wiz dies in the meantime, so they've lost that site control. Damage being dealt through, and now the flank starts to come in. You've got this Phoenix working down the ropes slowly. Paranoia pop. Sage, slow orb coming down on ramp. Again, the Phoenix is just buying time right now, waiting for the team to do their due diligence. Gangsta has the perfect flank, has them trapped in. He can make the call. Hey, guys, they're mostly in heaven. There's a lot of presence there currently. Gangsta now starts to come up, and here's the peek. One. Doesn't take the fight with the Sage. There's the peek through. Doesn't make a difference. Nicholas is there with the trade out, but they're going to have to try and back off and save their weapons as Immortals has more.
Heavy, but the way that Immortals are taking space on this attack after that plant goes in is sublime. They take full control of the split map, and it's so difficult for CODE7 to get in edgeways.
Again, CODE7 goes with the gamble, and they stack the B site. This is what we saw from Immortals in that first half. There's a double swing, and I like that, but that's going to be the read. Hey, they've gone pretty heavy towards B. Why don't we rotate out and go A, where there's only one player currently playing defense, and that's the Omen, who's currently up in heaven and actually going towards ropes.
Moving away.
So, yeah, if anything, the site just became easier to take.
It's always funny to watch attacking teams when they're moving onto a site where nobody's there and just see how nervous they are. Because obviously, there's nobody here. You don't need to worry. There we go. Thief is a bit more well aware that the site is clear up. And yet again, let's see if Immortals try and take much space. They're not just going to sit on the site. You can see exactly where Cole is positioned, and it catches Nicholas out. This is where you start to see this really solid Valorant, where you don't quite see it with CODE7. At least not at the same level, I suppose it would be. But Pure's positioning here might catch a few people off, and yet again, CODE7 just aren't sure how to approach this.
Bjor sitting up on top of the wall, peeking up over the tall box. Rob Wiz, again, I mean, he's done this time and time again, but Rob's going to back off. They kind of stole this weapon away, the Phantom that was picked up off the body of that player that died over in B. So he'll be backing off and saving this weapon to bring it into the next round. It will be 9 now on the scoreboard for Immortals.
And just like that, it's gone, and Gangsta's going to be on the prowl, push up ahead. Let's see actually how the defense reacts to this. It's mostly just getting out of there as much as possible. Gangsta can get nothing done with the ult. No information, no kills, nothing.
Again, you see this like bait setup that we've seen in the past. The problem is he's done this a couple times, and it hasn't really worked out. The timing hasn't been super ideal. And you also have like dual molly. So if he takes down the first player, they can molly him out of position. Oh, he's so patient. Oh, there it is. 1, 2. The shots vertically work out. The spike's been taken down. That's the play we've been wanting to see from Nicholas, who's been baiting that out every single round, and it finally pays off. Now the spike will be picked up by Asuna here, and the Cypher is going to be going back through sewers to try and regroup towards heaven, but the damage has been dealt by the Omen.
Nicholas is going to be so happy considering he wanted to use that play for like a couple of rounds already, right? Asuna's still going to get some damage here, but isn't quite sure about the lurking play that's coming in. Talk's position giving up, but Foe right around the corner is able to get those frags in.
Opposite side of that pillar. But you can see it's going to be an A play right now, and Rob Wiz right behind it, just can't quite get the timing right. Was very close. There's the paranoia coming out. It's so powerful. Still blinded is Thief. Just seconds after that does get popped. Now they're going to go ahead and pick up the orb. That'll bring the Sage Reg back into the fold, so that brings Kohler into the fight. Nice nade coming out. Great damage being dealt. Showstopper being popped here by the attacking side, sending it out towards screens. Plenty of time to get away from it.
Yeah, he had all the time in the world to move away. Even the orbital strike not catching where this race is going to be. Pain now using the neural theft to catch up where exactly people are going to be. They're all on site. This is good now. Pain using that intel to get some more information, but is going to be the only one alive in this 1 versus 2. No more ultimates available. No more utility for Pain to use. The camera is still set up if he wants to take a peek, but he has to watch all of these angles. Look at the positioning now where Asuna is. You know, use that opportunity nicely, right? I've got a bit of a break. I can move somewhere very unconventional. Pain's not going to expect. Does he peek around this corner? He does, but as soon as there to watch it, gets the...
Speaking of the man, Rob Wiz currently in the back of that B site playing a position we haven't seen yet. There's the swing from the operator, and that'll be Asuna currently watching from the sidelines, and it'll be Immortals who's down 1 player early.
Old versus new right there if you're calling Rob Wiz a boomer. Asuna's only 16, so he's the up-and-coming talent. I imagine would be one of the best players in the world if you're looking a couple of years' time, just based on how young he is and how good he is at the game already. Nicholas, yet again, loves this pit. Kingster is probably molding at that spot right now, considering how much Nicholas is punishing. Now FIFA's a lot to do. It was an aggressive peak from Nicholas, but it was a nice trade from Payan to back him up. Ooh. They just staggered their peaks at the wrong time in order to try and save, I suppose, the player as they were coming in. There's just people on this attack now. They're looking to go 8 more than anywhere, but you can see that Immortals aren't quite sure. CODE7 have the whole site down, locked up, and it's going to be tricky to sort of push onto it. Never mind get the spike planted and let it deploy.
There's the nade coming out. That'll try and push them back just a bit. Satchel coming in to do some additional damage. Foe actually using his Satchel. I think he wanted to go aggro with it, but it doesn't work out. There's the swing. Torque gets the flick back.
The previous showstoppers that we've seen out of him this game, at least.
They do break that wall, so that'll push the Sage back a bit. Asuna sending a nade out towards Heaven. Got to back off just a bit. Those nades doing serious damage if too close. Now, again, they've given up control of vents. This has been their approach time and time again, and you see that they do have the Rays pushed into that position. They're going to be going for this A take, where you've got the Cypher and you've got Omen currently playing defense, but they're both in Heaven. They've got that deep cam placement, though, in screens from Payan. I love this one. It's up inside the glass area towards screens, so you can actually see into the site, but there's not much you can do to stop that one. Here comes the push, though, towards this A site. They're walking their way through. They're going to have to deal with some equipment being put down by the Cypher. Looking. He hears them. He knows they're here. He's just letting them through.
And for the retake, potentially, Asuna's positioning must have been given up, considering the paranoia was just in their general direction. Yet again, we're seeing the skulking thief on the Cypher, pretty much apt for the agent that he's playing. Gets one, but needs to be careful that there's a Sage around that corner too. Storm's going to be used to sort of block them off, and even the wall dedicated just to keep them at bay. The spike has been planted. This is good from Immortals. CODE7 on these retakes have looked a bit lost in some cases, not sure where to push in, but Rob Wiz just glides in, gets one, but can only do so much. The rest of the team, though, is cleaning house. The defuse is coming in. Just as I said they look lost, Rob Wiz just opens the door and they just go on in.
Yeah, that was a really bizarre defense in general, which
players individually do okay, but I'll hold that thought as the attack is going in rather aggressively with the run it back. The blind actually doesn't go around the curve, the curveball doesn't go around the corner, sorry, so it doesn't catch anybody. And right now, we're seeing a pretty good job of CODE7 holding onto this site. An aggressive push, not really going too far, but then again, the guns really aren't available too much for Immortals right now. So Nicholas could sit back a little bit, but actually decides to use up the teleport from the shadows and used. He's right around this corner where Gingston spots him.
It's looking promising right now, as it is a 3-on-2, and you saw Gangsta get that kill. It's Thief on the site, though. We talked about it. His play has been good thus far. Spots out the first one, but doesn't even win that battle against the already lit up foe, so it will be an 11th round here as CODE7 has stolen the lead back, and they'll balance out the ults as...
I like this placement with the rope push, but the slow is going to be nicely placed. They aren't quite sure if any more is going to be coming up through, but the flash is dedicated. Yet again, not quite catching anybody, but Asuna with the showstopper gets the kill, and Talk's positioning is nice. You can only get 2 out of the 3 kills, though.
Yeah, but you've still got Rob Wiz here on the site with the operator. They don't anticipate this backup coming in from the Jet. Doesn't expect that peak coming up from Gangsta. So it will come down to the 2-on-2. The neural theft going down to give some intel here for the remaining 2 players of Immortals. You've got Thief and Gangsta on site. Spike's been planted in front of the double stack. Both players coming in through Heaven. Will they spot them? There's the paranoia coming out. First one's right on the money for Thief. Thief's going to deliver a few courtesy shots after The
face angle was going to spot somebody, but the orbital strike is going to move him away.
There's the ult in the back of sight, but it doesn't scare RobWiz at all. He's still here, still going for the peak, a bold one at that, as his teammate had to back off from the site, so that's a bit of a problem. Hot Hands coming down towards spawn, but the Sage can exist back behind it. You've already got 2 players coming in through Heaven as well. Thief doesn't realize that they're both here, but they don't realize he's here either. The Cypher on Cypher battle goes the way of the defense, but it's currently an advantage coming in for the attacking side. It's a 3-on-2 with the spike ticking down lower and lower. And the remaining 2, one of them's already low. That's the Cypher, who has to come back towards the Sage for a heal, and that might give away a little bit of intel.
And all of that information got by the neural theft is going to be lost. It really seems awkward now, to the point that I think we are going to be seeing CODE7 have to save. It would put Immortals on match point. Every little helps in this case. Buy up all of the utility that you can grab. The camera's back in the hands. Oh, sorry, the tripwire's back in the hands. And that was a really good round on this attack. It was patient play. RobWiz did quite a lot of damage with a double kill with the operator.
So far from picking up those big wins. We talked about it. So there was definitely upset potential coming into this series, and you've seen that already as this has gone the full distance. The question is whether or not they have enough to defend here, given what's coming their way. There's the flash coming through. The curveball works out so nicely. Foe trying to lay down some support to get that Sage back in position. Omen is over towards Vents. There's the swing coming in from Foe, who guns down Gangsta. That's a big piece to lose, but the Sage has died actually on the site, so that's a problem as well. There's still support there, but it looks like they're going to be going back towards the A site, where you've only got the Omen. He's here alone, trying to play around this corner. Do they peek this in time? The smoke's going to come down. They're going to be checking towards spawn. No! Nicholas comes up empty-handed. Payan has to save the day. Here he's going to find 1, make it 2, and it's down to a 2-on-2. You still got Asuna and the Cypher on the site going for the spike plant, but RobWiz is alive, and RobWiz can be so deadly.
Yeah, he can win this for his team. Try and clutch it out as much as possible. You've got to know that the positioning isn't going to be good for the attackers, as they got the spike planted, sorry, so they're not going to be moving off the site. They can really sort of pinch them here, put a lot of pressure onto them. Asuna is going to hold close towards screens, knows that there's somebody there, but RobWiz gets a nice crossfire. It's Asuna that wins that fight. It's just going to be the Raze, goes up against somebody that's so low health, the counterpart, but also has to work out where the Cypher is, trying to fight it, just wallbanging as much as possible, but all of this time being dedicated. There's one, there's the second. We're going to overtime. There should be enough time to get this defuse in. It's going to be a narrow one, but that sums up this game so far, Bok. It's down to the wire.
Who else would you want? He decides probably not worth it to stick around for too much longer. The ice has been carved apart, at least for the time being. And again, you have Nicholas in the same position we've seen him in before. It's only really paid off once or twice, as the Omen plays very passively in the ropes, but it doesn't stop Immortals from continuing to respect the possibility of a player being there, despite the fact that there almost never has been. He's always been sitting at the bottom of ropes, waiting for the push to come through. 40 seconds now. The clock is ticking down. They need to make a move.
This is really well done from CODE7. The wick is burning, like you mentioned, and all of this time just being narrowly wasted. RobWiz has a nice angle onto Heaven and B main, where the spike is, might I add. So he's keeping a close eye. They're giving a lot of space up, but this is the kind of play you get it. Oh, he misses the shot. RobWiz is put under a lot of pressure. He has the dash to get out, but look at this crossfire now. Talk is in a nice spot, but his position given away. That's a good amount of damage done already from Immortals. Foe is on the back foot, gets a frag onto Gangsta, is trying to get more, and it's now a 3 versus 2 in favor of Immortals.
They literally had seconds to kill off the clock, and it would have worked out so nicely. It's now down to 1. It's Payan. He's in a 1-on-2 after taking down the first target. Both players locked in the same position. He's got one behind the wall and one right to the right. There's the first shot coming out for Payan! He's gonna pick it up! It's going to be CODE7 who walks away victorious off a massive 1v3 clutch.
You couldn't write this. It's the first game that we've seen tonight, and it's already a big upset. One of the big complaints...